Hello, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
Watch the show.
Like it, subscribe, comment.
Enjoy.
Comment your favorite bet for the weekend.
Stop Googling best boobs in Hollywood and let us go. She's Googling things that make us talk about something else.
I think that if we start the podcast with stop Googling best boobs in Hollywood, people are going to want to know what we're talking about.
Well, I don't want to talk. She keeps focusing, and now it's just a big picture of George Clooney.
I'm closing the tabs.
All right, good.
And also, men are different than women. Men get hotter as they age. Women don't. And I don't mean that as
No.
offense to
It's
either
true.
of you.
It's more impressive when women age gracefully.
How could that possibly not be offensive to women?
Also, DILFs are
It's
hotter
not.
than MILFs.
They own their 20s.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I think I think that I have friends who would agree with me that I feel like if I look at pictures in my early 20s versus my early 30s, I would much rather take the early 30s. But
That's not a rule. Or it is a rule, but it's like there are
It's the same thing with
examples of it not being true.
with
And
the
you
dad
may be
bod. Like the dad bod, as like guys can get better with age. Like there's a wider range of acceptance and like.
I hate to steal a take that's actually coming out on a different show. Actually, I don't even know when it happened. The dad bod myth from women is just a complete lie.
You know when that was? Because you were I think you were waiting to do the college football show. It was on the pro football show. Dan and I got
the dad
into
bod thing that you guys say, oh, I like a dad. No, none of you like
Katie
a dad
does.
bod.
No,
You're all
Katie does.
lying.
I do. Like the
You're lying.
Dan's-
lineman body. Yes.
That's-
A
that's not
dad
even
bod
dad
is
bod.
40 years old that can't get out, that wants to take a nap all the time.
Who's a person we can look at? Like what do you think is dad bod? Like,
There's nobody
not
that's
real
famous in
the office.
Hollywood that's
Also,
like
you like a 6'6" dad bod.
that's the difference. And like
Fair enough.
Dan also had a really good point too, where it was like a true dad bod is like a dad bod that like you're what did he say?
40 pounds overweight.
You can't breathe whenever you're running.
Yeah.
Like the dad bod that's like been like normalized as hot is not a real dad bod.
I'm trying to think of like retired linemen.
That's just an old athlete bod.
Yeah,
That's not a dad
It's
bod.
not a dad bod.
but they still have the stomach.
Also, Lane Kiffin lost his dad bod and got hot.
Correct.
So
He is not hot. Why do we keep doing this?
I feel like no one's gonna want to
He looks
listen
like
to
a
this
foot.
podcast.
Huh?
No one's gonna want to listen to our podcast.
We talk about this all the time, and the podcast is doing the best numbers it's ever done. We're beating shows here that have no business beating.
I'm glad that you said
no,
that.
that's a fucked up photo.
But
No, that's what he looks like.
that's not what he looks like
that's-
anymore.
That is what he looks
No,
like.
not anymore.
Brandon,
I know. I looked up
crazy.
Lane Kiffin fat.
Look at Lane Kiffin Ole Miss.
I'm trying to look at what he used to.
Yeah, he doesn't look like that anymore.
That's him in Ole Miss right there.
He had that's when he's at FAU. He had depression.
He wore an Ole Miss hat at FAU. That's weird. Why do we do
He
that?
was
That's
depressed.
early on.
He was depressed.
Depressed? Why? Because he's in a
Because
divorced.
Because he's in a college town.
No, people, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
The beard helps it.
And then he said,
This is embarrassing that you guys think he's hot.
Everyone thinks he's hot.
Sorry.
No,
Mike,
they don't.
Sorry, Mike Leach isn't.
I don't need a hot coach.
That is true. You know what?
Guess
I'm
what,
okay
Katie?
with-
Your coach ain't hot. Your coach ain't hot. Your coach ain't hot.
no, Jim Moore is not a bad looking guy.
No, he's not
He's
bad
not.
looking.
He's
Especially for he's like
Lane
65.
Kiffin
He's
is
like
definitely
good
not
looking.
hot.
Well, but see, that's
Great
to your
football
point, though.
coach. Wins a lot of games. Just not hot.
That's to Jack's point, though, is that like guys at 65 can be smoking hot.
Oh, whoops.
Can you stop Googling hottest things so we can? You're
Katie-
ruining the focus of this show.
Katie being
We're on topic.
in charge of.
Who's the hottest?
Jim Moore,
This is an old list. It has Urban Meyer number one.
Jim Harbaugh back in the day was hot.
Lane
Kiffin
Kiffin
We've
number
done this
2.
before. That was when he was at USC 12 years ago.
I would say Steve Sark did not age well. Sark did not.
They're coaches. They don't age well.
They don't age well. They work 150-hour weeks, which
These
is
are
more
all
hours
old.
in the week than
Yeah,
there
this
are.
is a 10-year-old list. All these guys are old and decrepit
Rich
now.
Rod.
Rich Rod.
Kyle Whittingham's aged well.
Shiano, yeah.
Please,
Charlie Strong.
Please end this right now. I'm going to start the podcast.
Katie being in control of this is just like
I pulled
We're
up
so
stuff
ADD, it's
relevant,
like-
and you kept talking about it. I pull up stuff throughout every podcast, and you guys skip it. You totally could have skipped that.
I'm skipping it now.
Done.
Let's start the show. Hello. Welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast, brought to you by the most delicious drink in the wide world for college football. It is High Noon Hard Seltzer. I'm holding in my hand the guava. I am now holding in my hand the kiwi, and I am finally holding in my hand the guava once again. Those are two flavors. I got cranberry, I got the pear, the black cherry, the grapefruit. If you're tailgating this week, if you're just watching your games at home this week, if you're going to a friend's house to just sit on his couch and watch games, bring some High Noon. Take it to the next level.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Create your favorite High Noon 4-pack. The Brandon Walker High Noon 4-pack.
I'm done. 2 pear, 2 peach, 2 lime, 2 watermelon. Done. Print it.
Did I not just say 4-pack?
Oh,
One of each then.
well, but they don't. They come in eights though.
Well, they come in 4s.
But the 4s are all the 4-packs are all one flavor.
You talk about how I do semantics.
No.
I said create the best 4-pack.
I have a box here.
I know, but I said 4-pack.
4 drinks.
8
You said
cans.
4-pack, but the 4-packs only have one flavor.
I have a question. When you go buy like
You know that you messed this up and you're trying to make it
You-
look like I
no,
messed it up.
You can think outside the box.
if I say
The box is right here.
If I say a 6-pack, do you think a 6 or 12-pack of a drink?
6.
So a 4-pack.
No, but that's different. That's different because the 4-pack of High Noon only has one flavor, and you asked me for a dream box.
Well, that dream box doesn't
the
exist
parents are
either
fighting.
way.
I'm going to take 8. I'm going to take 2 of the peach, 2 of the lime, 2 of the watermelon, 2 of the pear.
Perfect.
Well, you really helped. God almighty. When we get into these arguments on this, it's that side of the table always unites. That side
Jack,
of the table
if I
always
say
comes
create-
I thought
together.
you're Brandon
Just out of
Walker.
question,
You
crazy.
can do
If I
whatever.
say create your favorite 4-pack, would you have done 4 beers?
No, I'm
4
kind
Heinens?
of with him. I'm primed for an 8-pack
But
it's
he
right
would
in
call it
front
an
of me.
8-pack.
It's right there.
But he would call it an 8-pack.
But the 4-packs only have one flavor.
But he just proved my point. He said I'm primed for an 8-pack.
No, but your point is wrong.
No, it's not.
Doesn't matter. Let's get into the show.
I
Thank you, High Noon.
I finally realized today, I just realized something. We only got 3 Saturdays left.
It's crazy.
We only got 3 Saturdays left of major big-time balls-to-the-wall college football. That's this week, next week, and then the weekend after that. And then we get into championship week. We get into Army, Navy. We get into
Championship week you could count, right?
I don't think you count that. I think the regular season, we have 3 balls-to-the-wall weeks left.
But championship weekend, well, this year I guess it we'll know the playoff.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be important. Like,
There'll be a lot of
the
things.
Pac-12 title game could be gigantic. The
Big
SEC
12.
title game could be gigantic. Those would probably be the biggest right now.
You know what's gonna the ACC we know is out.
Maybe. Yeah, probably.
The most
likely.
The
Most
most
likely.
anticlimactic championship will definitely be the Big Ten because
Well, here's the
Oh,
thing.
I disagree.
why? Of the Power 5?
Most
Katie, you
anticlimactic-
realize that what she's saying is Ohio State beats Michigan, then they're going to be playing like Illinois.
Yeah, it won't for the.
Oh, sorry. I'm confusing Ohio State, Michigan with.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah,
Big
yeah,
Ten
no,
championship
no.
game's the week.
When I hear Big Ten championship, I just assume Michigan Ohio
So,
State is actually what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm the actual Big Ten championship. No
Yeah.
one will care about.
all the hypotheticals floating around, the one I don't hear enough that probably has a better chance of happening than people think is an SEC Big Ten invitational. 2 SEC, 2 Big Ten. That could happen.
It could.
Because the Pac-12 is that they're primed to have a one-loss champion, but if they don't, say if Oregon loses to Utah and then wins the title, or if Utah wins the Pac-12 title, or if USC beats UCLA and then loses to Notre Dame, something like that, there's plenty of stumbling points. Pac-12 could have a 2-loss champion. Then you would have a chance. You could very well see, and if TCU loses, obviously, you would have a chance where you could see an SEC Big Ten Invitational. That's on the table.
It is definitely on the table, and it's not as crazy as because if you just said that, if you threw out the take on Twitter and you just said, "Hey, 2 Big Ten, 2 SEC teams could happen," people would be like, "No, no way, no way." But if you actually sit down and look at how it could happen, it's not as near as crazy as people would think.
Oh, I don't think we're far away from that at all. It's going to require Michigan or Ohio State losing a decently close game.
Here's a question though with that. Let's say Clemson wins out and Notre Dame beats USC.
Yeah.
Then could you see Clemson sneaking back in?
Yeah, well, Clemson will be in the discussion. People will say, I had one of these arguments come out last week or last night on Twitter when somebody said they would take Clemson over Tennessee because they would value a one-loss Power 5 champion over a one-loss non-Power 5 champion, and the committee just doesn't think like that in my mind, and they shouldn't. Power 5 conference championships to me don't matter all that much. They never have, they never will, because all conferences are different. But I do think we're headed towards a possibility. If I had to put all my money down right now, I would go Georgia, Tennessee, Ohio State / Michigan. Georgia, Tennessee, OSU, Michigan winner, and Pac-12 champion. That's what I would put my money on.
I do think that they hold more weight in conference titles than you do, which is fine. But to your point, they do look at the competition amongst that conference when it goes into it. So yes, I would
look
agree
at
with
how
you.
they value right now. Look how they value like North Carolina, who's 8-1 in the ACC. They got them 15th. Look how they value UCLA right now, who's 8-1 in the Pac-12. They got them 12th. So like these are teams that they're not showing a lot of value in right now. They're behind 2-loss. 1-loss UCLA is 5 spots behind LSU, 3 spots behind Alabama. So I don't know. We'll talk about all that. I did come to an epiphany. We're going to get to the slate in a minute. We're going to get to the games. I came to an epiphany, and I think I realized who's going to win the Heisman.
Before we get into that,
Okay.
have you heard the conspiracy from the Tennessee fans?
Oh, I would love to hear this conspiracy theory.
It was good that I stopped you because we'll go in the Heisman after this. But Tennessee fans believe it is set up perfectly for Tennessee to get screwed out of the playoff, even with the TCU loss.
Why do they believe that?
Because they believe that Oregon will jump them at some point over the next few weeks. It was set up this week. And then also the head of the College Football Playoff Committee refuses to say the name Tennessee. He said he was asked about Tennessee or asked about Georgia's great win. He didn't say anything about Tennessee. And then they brought up LSU. He talked glowingly about LSU and then said they do have that one loss to LSU. So he didn't say Tennessee.
This is why college football was just fine without these geniuses walking around, these idiots. They micromanage this stuff. Like, look at Tennessee right now. They just lost, and they fell all the way to number 5. Like, they're at 5. They're at 5 with the best resume out there for a one-loss team. They're fine. And, like, Oregon, USC, UCLA, that's going to sort itself out. But Tennessee, as of right now, when Ohio State / Michigan lose, is going to be in the playoff.
I disagree with that it was better without them. I think that conspiracy theories amongst fan bases is one of the funniest, most entertaining things that we have in college football.
And also, I was talking with some Tennessee fans, including the one big one here at Barstool, Big Tennessee. He's said it's idiotic to think that LSU will be in the playoff if they beat Georgia.
I don't think it's idiotic at all. They are banking on the committee saying, well, you beat LSU, so you're in, without regarding the fact that LSU would have beaten Georgia, LSU would have beaten Alabama, LSU would have won the SEC. I don't see a world where the committee's going to sit there and say, you know what? LSU won the SEC. This is if they beat Georgia. LSU won the SEC. So what we're going to do in the playoff is take the SEC's second and third best teams.
Right.
I don't think they're going to do that.
Which is where it goes back to what we were saying. And granted, we're talking
But
about the SEC.
No, that's different animal. Different animal.
No, it is a different animal, but there is a scenario where they're not going to look at it and they're going to say, oh, a conference champion won the championship game and we're going to leave them out?
Different animal. Because you're talking about they're playing the same conference. So I'm not going to put you over your own conference champion who won your league.
Right.
But Tennessee would still compare favorably to any other conference champion.
I'm not going against you. I'm saying for like Big T to say it's idiotic. It's like, no, it would be idiotic to say that a conference champion would be left out for a team that didn't even play for the conference title.
If LSU wins the SEC, and full disclosure, I do not think they're going to win out. I don't think they're going to win this Saturday. I don't think.
I don't like how confident you are with that. It really makes.
I don't think the scenario of LSU beating Georgia. Have we seen Georgia play? I just don't think that scenario is really on the table. So I don't think we have to worry about it that much. But if LSU won out,
they're in.
I think they would get in, and they would worry about the playoff and figure out the playoff from there.
And then your SEC Big Ten Invitational could still be alive.
It could still be alive.
Because that would be LSU Georgia.
In
right, that'd be LSU Georgia.
LSU gets the conference championship game 12-0. Georgia gets the conference championship game 12-0. They're in the playoff regardless. Even if they lose, just like last year. Here's my epiphany with the Heisman Trophy. I think it's down to two players. I think it's a 2-player race. I think we have a 2-player race for the Heisman Trophy. And that doesn't mean I'm not trying to disrespect guys like Caleb Williams or Bo Nix in the Pac-12. Not trying to disrespect Hendon Hooker at Tennessee, Stetson Bennett at Georgia, or any other guys. Here's my theory on the Heisman Trophy, when it's going to be won and how it's going to be rewarded. I don't agree that Blake Corum, I don't think he should be as high as he is right now. I don't think he should be in this mix, but he is. So if he is, I'm going to tell you the scenario of how the Heisman's going to be won.
Ooh, I see where you're going with
Here's
this.
the top 3, okay? Top 3 right now, C.J. Stroud is minus 125. Now, these are odds. These are not necessarily what voters are thinking, but they're generally pretty close. the odds are the odds for a reason.
They have a good track record.
They have a good track record. C.J. Stroud is the only favorite right now. He's minus 125. Hendon Hooker is second at plus 250, and then it drops down to Blake Corum at 6-1 plus 600. And then from there, it's Caleb Williams 9-1, Stetson Bennett 10-1, Bo Nix 12-1, Jaden Daniels 18-1, all the way down to Drake May at 25-1, Max Duggan at 40-1, Brock Bowers at 50-1. All right, Brock Bowers, really?
That's
okay.
crazy.
He's got better odds than Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who's 100-1. Anyway,
Jackson darts there.
the Pac-12 champion, whoever that is, if it's USC or if it's Oregon, their quarterback will stand a good chance to be in the mix because they will have survived and they will have picked up several big games down the road. However, let's take the big three. C.J. Stroud, Hendon Hooker, Blake Corum. Hendon Hooker has finished playing marquee games in the regular season.
Correct.
He does not have another one. He plays Missouri, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. He's done with big games. He's not going to have a huge spot where if he puts 400 yards up against a good defense, everybody likes him and smiles and, oh, my God. He's played all his big games. Blake Corum and C.J. Stroud will play the biggest game of the year. C.J. Stroud will be the quarterback for Ohio State. Blake Corum will be the running back for Michigan. And if Michigan wins, the way they win is by running all over Ohio State. The way they win is running for 200, 300, 400 yards. If they win, Blake Corum has to have a big game. Conversely, if C.J. Stroud and Ohio State win, he has to have a big game. Winner of Ohio State-Michigan is going to have the Heisman Trophy winner, period. So, if you believe that Michigan is going to beat Ohio State because of their running game, because of their toughness, you should go to the Barstool Sportsbook right now and bet Blake Corum 6-1 to win the Heisman. $100 gets you $600.
I love that theory, and you're probably right.
I don't think Hendon Hooker can win it at all.
No, because he doesn't have a marquee game, and the biggest game. We build it as the biggest game of the season, the biggest game we've seen in forever. Which clearly it was a very important game. But Tennessee, Georgia. I mean, on Saturday night when we recapped it, it was the third game we talked about. So he didn't. It wasn't even like he had a shiny day and lost. The only way I could see that theory not holding up, even if Michigan beats Ohio State, is if Donovan Mitchell has a better game than.
Yeah, I just don't think Michigan. This is going to happen. Mitchell will probably Donovan Edwards. Donovan Mitchell plays for the Cavs.
Yes, he does.
So you say that Bryce Young's Heisman moment was versus Auburn. I don't think anyone saw that game. Not saying I'm backing up.
True.
Hooker,
Yes, but the reason
Or is it a rivalry,
the reason
so-
nobody has stepped up and won the Heisman, it was a huge marquee game for him. He was in the spotlight and he ended up doing the comeback. C.J. Stroud and Blake Corum have the biggest stage left of anybody. Now, the only outside, I don't think Stetson Bennett can win it. I don't think Hendon Hooker's really going to – I think he's going to run out of gas here in this Heisman race, not through any fault of his own, just the way the schedule fell. The outside shots here are your survivor in the Pac-12. If Caleb Williams goes big against UCLA, then goes big against Notre Dame, then goes big against Oregon, he will put himself in remarkable position. So if I'm giving you I'm giving you futures bets right now. I'm telling you, Caleb Williams at 9-1 is good. If he gets through that, he's going to elevate himself very quickly at the end.
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix is the exact same way. Bo Nix has they have a sneaky, really tough schedule coming up. They got Washington first. Mm-hmm. Then they got Utah. Then they got Oregon State on the road coming up later. Their other one isn't easy. But they've got some tough games, and then they would have the conference championship game. So Bo Nix in Oregon, if they were to go 12-1, he is about to have some gigantic wins coming up. So Bo Nix is worth a shot.
So because I love the Ohio State-Michigan theory, because you're right. It will be, especially if the game is really close too. Like either way, the game is going to be incredibly important for the playoff. But if it stays really close, then you're looking at potentially getting two Big Ten teams in. But what if that does happen, though? So let's say Michigan wins, Donovan Edwards has the big day. And Blake Corum would have to have a very pedestrian day in order for him to still not be up there, because we've seen Donovan Edwards season have, I guess sometimes more.
My theory is based on Michigan winning with their running game and Blake Corum being the reason for that to happen. So if that falls apart, then the theory falls apart as well.
Well, I'm just curious, like what you would.
Well, then
do
it's
with that.
Then it's a free for all. Then who knows?
I love that theory, though. I think
that would probably rescue Hendon Hooker's chances, to be honest. If C.J. Stroud loses to Michigan in his biggest game at home, and then Blake Corum and Michigan win, but Blake Corum doesn't play well,
And Donovan Edwards, let's say he has a big game.
Yeah, and if he has a big game, and then Hendon Hooker sitting there with the numbers, and that rescues Hendon Hooker's chances and delivers him.
That's why I was asking, because we have seen, and Blake Corum, I think, deserves to be where he is right now. But you've pointed it out on multiple reaction shows that when you look at the running game for Michigan, it's important for both of those guys to get going. And most of the time, Blake Corum has had better numbers. But Donovan Edwards is there a lot.
I'm just not keen on giving the Heisman to a running back in a quarterback-driven world. You have so many quarterbacks up there, and then we're going to give it to a running back who, when he comes off the field, his team's yards per carry go up. So that just it doesn't really float well with me. And Michigan fans don't like it because they're Michigan fans, and I'm saying an anti-Michigan player take. But I'm saying reality is Blake Corum will win it if he goes and runs for 200 in the horseshoe.
Definitely.
And they beat Ohio State. That's just fact. That's stone cold fact. How you feeling?
Feeling okay.
I just, I just love the fact. I love where Mississippi State is. I love the fact we're about to beat Georgia. I love the fact that
I knew this is where we were going.
I love the fact that nobody sees it coming. I love the fact that
So you're nobody? Sorry.
Don't sass me. I just love it. It's going to be a big Saturday. I'm going to enjoy
You know
it.
what you should do?
What?
Since you're so confident in Mississippi State beating Georgia, you should go to the game via Game Time.
If only I could, I would. But listen, I got a lot of people down in Starkville that have been hitting me up for tickets, saying, hey, Brandon, give me some tickets. Brandon, give me some tickets. First of all, the Brandon Walker charity ain't that deep yet. Secondly, you don't need Brandon Walker's charity because you have the best app in the world to get you last-minute tickets at the right price, Game Time.
I was going to say, not even the right price. They guarantee the lowest price, Brandon. That's key right there.
And this is an app that, you wake up on game day, and I know how to. You ever woke up in a college town and you're like, oh, I'm not going to go tomorrow. No, I'm going to go. You go. I'm not going to go. You wake up on Saturday like, I got to go. Sometimes you get that feeling about sports. You get that feeling about your college team. You get up and go, and that's what Game Time helps you do.
I was having dinner with one of my girlfriends the other night, and she was talking about a concert that was at Madison Square Garden that she wished she would have bought tickets for.
Yeah.
I said, why don't you give me your phone for a second? I downloaded the app and created a login. This is a true story. This is not just for the ad. It is a true story. Redeemed the code ROUGH for her, and she was like, what are you doing? I said, I just got you $20 off your first purchase. You're going to 1975 at Madison Square Garden. So she went.
What's 1975?
It's a band.
I'm going via Game Time.
Oh, you're going to the UFC?
Madison Square Garden on Saturday night. Game Time, thank you. I love you. Been using you since, 2016, 2015. And I'm going on Saturday night to UFC Madison Square Garden. I'm so excited. Game Time's the best.
That's going to be awesome.
And we have an offer?
We do.
She already said it.
Oh.
It's okay.
It's okay, Jack.
It's
redeem code ROUGH for $20 off your first order.
We'll say it again. Redeem
code
code
ROUGH for $20 off your first purchase.
Katie, is there any sort of offer for our
is
listeners
there
on
an
this?
offer on this one?
I think rough.
Redeem code ROUGH.
Sounds
$20?
$20 off.
Yeah.
Your
Yes.
first purchase.
First purchase.
Terms do apply, though, so we didn't
Yes,
mention
we
that.
do.
Yes.
Terms apply.
Noah, any idea where I could get $20 off my first purchase with Game Time?
I believe if you use the code ROUGH.
Thank you.
Yes.
That
Yes.
bothered me the way he said it.
Why?
Why?
I don't know.
I feel like
Rough.
You know what I just thought of? You talk about epiphany. You know what's an epiphany?
Yeah, I dated a girl named Epiphany in high school.
I do not believe that, but then
9
it kind of
months
does
to
make.
pick that.
Don't steal my jokes.
I was gonna say, did you meet her at the local strip club? Anyways,
I did meet a girlfriend at the strip club. Doesn't matter. Go.
Was she working?
She was the bartender. That's what sucked. She was.
Not hot enough to be the stripper.
I didn't have a lot of money back in the day.
I feel like I
we
can't. Well, yeah, we were gonna go. I was gonna finish with like a Game Time like finisher of the ad. I
Yeah.
feel like we've gone too far off the rails. Game
Oh
Time.
yeah, no that ad
Yeah,
was finished.
that's done. I was gonna say it's a great thing for like the holidays to buy tickets. Never mind. We started talking about Brandon's stripper girlfriend named Epiphany.
It's a good stripper
It's
name.
great.
Epiphany to the main stage.
What would Epiphany's,
Epiphany to the main stage.
What would Epiphany's song be?
Oh, it'd be like
I feel like it would have to be like some sort of rock.
yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
Oh no, they sometimes
Pour some sugar on me. I don't know.
pretty good.
But she rhymes it like Epiphany, pour some sugar on me, pour some Epiphany. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Okay, well we'll workshop
I'll write the
it.
stripper character later.
We'll workshop it. I like it.
Are you looking up home buying advice right now?
No, that was just the email that I just got.
I was like, Jack, you're buying a home?
Marry the home, date the rate. Horrendous advice.
It's just an email I got.
Did you see Jack's really, really funny TikTok?
Which one?
And that came from Jack? Jack of all people.
The one that I think it was posted today, wasn't it? Or did
No,
it
I
just-
posted it on Sunday when she sent it to me when she was watching the Bears game.
But the algorithm for
Oh,
me,
right.
Barstool posted it today.
Barstool posted it last
What was the
night on
TikTok?
Instagram.
Let me
I
show it
haven't-
to you, Brandon. This.
I hate that I knew instantly.
Oh yeah, and this is the thing is that I think all of Jack's TikToks are very funny.
Jack's been coming to the defense of Livy Dunn.
No, I am coming to the offense of canceling fake news.
Wait, what? Yeah, me too. I felt the same.
Libby
makes-
Dunn
it
might
makes
just
sense.
happened to be the target, and I
Yeah.
needed to attack fake news, and that's what happened.
All right.
Okay, that's fair. Look at this. So,
Okay. If you know, you know.
did you hear what he said?
And she sent me this photo.
Oh no, Brandon.
I don't. What?
I'm not even gonna explain. If you know, you know, man.
Look at the
Look
at
at
the
the beginning.
TV,
Listen to
the
the beginning.
surroundings.
You know, you know.
Listen to the beginning. Did you hear what he said at the beginning?
Yeah, go.
She told me she's going to watch the game at her friend's house. Then she sent me this photo.
I don't get it.
Oh.
Because there's a PS5 with a headset next to the TV.
Girls don't have that.
Girls don't have that. And it's,
Okay.
it's her friend's
All
house.
right, fair enough. All right, okay.
I saw it.
That's a little inside baseball, though.
No.
Most people got it if they're on the app.
Okay.
if they're
You saw
on,
Leah,
if they're on social media.
Zeb was at the
Oh,
Country
Zeb
Music
Ross
Awards.
is everywhere now. Yeah.
That's what I made the mistake. I forgot. You get Zeb Ross algorithm.
I get Zeb Ross. we figured it. I get Zeb Ross fishing and titties. That's what I get.
So the TikTok, I didn't even see it first. My boyfriend saw it and asked me immediately. He was like, "Did that actually happen to Jack?" And I was like, "I'm sure it was like a funny TikTok
No,
that
it
Jack
did.
did."
I sent
no,
you
it actually
evidence.
happened to him.
I sent you
Boobs.
evidence.
yeah, she's on
Barstool,
TikTok. Yeah.
sports,
Nick Wright.
Boobs.
but an ad, weird stuff.
Little politics.
Basketball.
Basketball. That was actually
Sports,
wrestling.
us.
Boobs.
There's no fishing.
Wow,
Is
look
that
at
soccer?
you.
Or
You
is
know
being all
why? You know
sports.
Oh,
why
that
I don't have
guy's
fishing
funny.
because
That
we
kid's
said
funny.
that you have too
It's
much
mostly
fishing.
comedy and
In sports, yeah.
I get fishing. I don't know where.
What happened to all the boobs?
Have you changed my
I haven't
algorithm?
touched it. No. Oh
I
my
don't think the
God.
boobs show up in the daytime as much as they show up.
No, they should have.
You think they do that intentionally?
I know when I need them.
Or maybe that's when they post the boobs.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
There we go.
That's not really boobs. No fishing ones?
Why is Nick Wright on your algorithm so
I
much?
don't know. Why is Nick
It's all
Nick
sports,
wrong on
South
yours?
Park, animals.
Nick Wright's
You.
fault? He's a big fan of Nick Wright. All right.
All right.
Anyways,
fair enough.
anyways,
Can we
anyways,
focus?
anyways.
Can we focus?
Week 11.
Can I say something?
Better
Better
than anyone I know.
We're just going to run back all my greatest hits. Okay.
What are you doing with
Without
this?
getting into raw or pure numbers,
Yeah.
hell of a year for us. Best
Hell
year
of a
ever,
year.
right?
For what?
Unnecessary roughness?
Oh, yeah. I'm proud of it.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know if you were talking about something else.
Unnecessary roughness.
Has been great.
The audience is bigger than it's ever been. The numbers, every ancillary number, every number is bigger than it's ever been.
And it's not because the same people are listening to 3 times episode. Our unique monthly audience is bigger. So shout out to everyone new. And a big part of that, of course, is no, I'm kidding. Noah's addition has been huge. And
Give Noah
Brandon,
credit.
too. You
Thank you.
sacrificing another hour and a half a
Thank
week
you.
for
Thank
us
you. Thank
has
you.
been
Thank you.
magical.
The fact that Brandon graces us with his presence.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
But you're not exaggerating either, because we did get a breakdown, and you mentioned it earlier, kind of casually in passing, that we're beating.
I kind of gave you a
podcasts.
break. I kind of gave you a breakdown that I shouldn't have, but
Boobs.
That's all right.
Oh, I wasn't gonna out you.
I didn't say anything. I just said
Yeah,
that we're doing well.
Jack just outed
You
himself.
outed
I'm just
yourself.
kidding. It's not that big of a deal.
Also,
We're beating people we have no business
all
beating.
jokes aside, Noah, earnestly, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, you can take this time to thank me for adding you to the show.
Yeah,
I knew it was coming.
I knew. I was like.
I didn't
does
think he
not
had
do
the
that.
balls to say "fuck you," but that was worse.
Hashtag thank you, Brandon.
Thanks, Brandon.
You got it, buddy.
Heart and soul.
We have got college football this weekend.
How many
3
jobs have
weekend-
you saved at Barstool?
It's a great question, Jack.
Buddy.
You got time?
Who have I made at Barstool? All right. I made Dana Beers.
You said
Dana
it-
Beers was walking around. His nickname was Pussy. When I pulled him in to walk the line one day, 2 months later, he's going out there saying, I'm back, zillion beers and everything, and he's a star.
Is that really how that happened?
That's exactly how that happened.
That's crazy.
I lost Jack McCarthy.
You know, You know, with
TJ Hitchings?
TJ was
TJ's
huge.
the one you say the most.
my first memory of Dana, like outside of just like meeting him in the old office, was when, Jack, I know you'll remember this, when they had like the year of the virginity or something, or the year
Oh, yeah,
they were
that's
all
weird.
like, oh no, they were going to have sex. They were going to have the
Oh,
year of
year of
sex.
sex.
The year of sex.
And they didn't have sex like
And
for
they-
entire January or something?
Yeah, something crazy. And that's, so you're right. Dana went from like
I forgot
having
about the
to
year
like,
of sex.
he didn't know how to dress for dates, and now he's just out there slaying.
Okay. College football.
You didn't say men's.
Oh, you did.
What if you shut the fuck up?
Oh, that was true.
Casey Smith. She was floating in the breeze till I got here.
Don't forget about Katie.
Katie Stats. I
You didn't know my name after when
didn't
I
need to. Now, people know your name now because of who? Brandon Walker.
God damn.
And the fact that you work really hard. But
Wouldn't
mostly
it
Brandon
technically
Walker.
be Michelangelo?
And you're talented.
Huh?
Michelangelo, he named me technically.
Katie Stats?
Yeah, the stats came from him. I think it was on the rundown.
You're the Sistine Chapel of his names.
I thought Dave made it up.
Well, you can just say
The first
Dave.
time I regard.
I'll take $20 out of my wallet right now if we can talk college football.
Can I have it?
Yeah, let's do it.
I've been trying to talk college football since you were talking about titties.
TDs.
You don't have any cash.
have
I'll be
cash.
honest, I can't remember the last time I've carried cash, so I don't blame you.
I give all my cash to homeless people in New York City.
That's not
Like
true.
fun you do. Sorry, I should not have.
When I go to the bank, I always get $20 in fives. And then I give out the 4 fives to 4 homeless people. And when they're gone, I don't have any more. And it's always the guy, the 5th guy that asked me, that makes me feel like an asshole.
Do you really do that?
I do that.
That's really sweet.
I'm a nice guy.
It's very cute. Let's talk college football.
Remember when you came in here looking rough that day and I gave you a $5 bill?
You're an asshole. No,
Okay.
there's a million
That's how
days I've
Noah got
looked
his job.
Let's start with TCU Texas.
Yes.
TCU Texas is a game that if we circled this game back in August, it would have been because we would say one of these teams is going to be in the playoff race. One of these teams is going to be playing for a potential national title. One of these teams is going to be playing for their lives. And we would have all unanimously agreed it was Texas
Correct.
at the time. Now, Texas is not a bad football team, but they do have 3 losses. They have the loss to Alabama, then they have the loss to Texas Tech when Quinn Ewers was hurt, and they of course have the loss to Oklahoma State a couple of weeks ago.
Which is aging. I know it's aging poorly. I mean, Oklahoma State's just on a free fall.
They're on a free fall, but Texas is not about this season anymore. Texas is about what do they look like going into the offseason for the transfer portal. What do they look like as Quinn Ewers transitions into his next year? What do they look like for next year? And for TCU, though, who came in hoping to build hope under a first-year coach, who came in hoping to build a foundation, who came in hoping to do all these things, everything in the world is on the table. Every time they go out and play now, the lights are a little brighter, the game's a little faster, it means a little bit more, and they have handled expectations so far, even though they really, I got to be honest, I think they're just skating by some of these teams. They beat Kansas by 7. They beat Oklahoma State by 3 in double overtime. They beat Kansas State by 10. They beat West Virginia by 10, gave up 31 to them. Now they arrive at their biggest moment of the season. They're 9-0. They're number 4 in the playoff race, but they got to go to – is Big Brother fair to say for them? Or is it even Big Brother situation, like an uncle?
I don't even think it's Big
Grandfather?
Brother. I don't even think that Texas fans would say they're Big Brother to TCU.
What's that program? It's the Big Brother program, right?
Oh, Big Brothers,
Yeah,
Big
Big Brother,
Where
Sisters.
it's it's a kid from that's
Yeah.
very successful in the neighborhood
You-
comes and gives you
Yeah.
like a.
You've seen the movie Role Models?
Yeah.
That's what this is, I would assume.
Okay, so
Or the
so-
way Texas fans would
So
say
so
it.
they're going and now, but TCU to prove it, to say we're definitely number 4, we're definitely belong in the playoff, they have to go on the road to Texas at night and win the game. Guys, I just don't think they have it in them. I don't think they have it in them. And you've been Mr. TCU all year. I'll look at you. This is to me, not only is Texas going to win the game, Jack, I think when it comes crashing down for TCU,
It's gonna be bad.
it comes hard. 21, 24, 28-point loss.
Yeah, Jack, I was going to say spoiler, because I assume
Oh yeah,
everybody...
because you.
the
Yeah.
college football show, he said 3 touchdowns.
No,
Tell me why not?
Texas can't stop the pass.
Texas can't stop the pass, but TCU can't stop anything either. And they've been messing around. They scored 34 against Texas Tech. If they score 34 this week, they might get beat 55-34.
So, but here's my question. Texas, you're saying Texas can't or TCU can't stop anything either. What makes Texas's offense 21 points better than
Texas
TCU's?
is at home. Texas is going to have the momentum. Texas is going to have the energy. Texas has the more talent, and TCU has been able to pull the iron out of the fire a lot. You can't sink 40-foot putts every week. You can't sink 30-foot putts every week. You have to control games. Now, they controlled West Virginia a little bit. They controlled Texas Tech a little bit in the second half once the quarterback got hurt. But if Quinn Ewers is healthy this whole game, that game control goes out the window. And if they're fighting from behind 14-0, I don't see it.
I'm also not sure TCU's defense is as bad as you're saying it is. Now, this is a classic Big 12 discussion because the offense just scores at will. So they
Katie,
play on defense
click full
much
schedule.
more.
TCU full schedule.
Okay. And then also, Texas has a second half problem, man. I don't know what happens to them in the second half.
They're young. They're still early in the coach. All they got to have is one big win to overcome that. Now listen to me. Listen to this. You say I don't know if TCU's defense is all that bad. Okay, fair enough. Discarding their game against Colorado and Tarleton State to open the season, they played SMU. They gave up 34. 24 to Oklahoma. That's fine. Give up 31 to Kansas, who played a backup quarterback half the game. They gave up
really good.
40 to Oklahoma State.
He was really
They gave
good.
up 28 to Kansas State to a backup quarterback. They gave up 31 to West Virginia. They gave up 24 to a third-string quarterback, Texas Tech. Quinn Ewers is better than anybody they faced. Bijan Robinson is better than anybody they faced. They've given up point after point after point after point. They've been able to outscore those teams, but if you get in a track meet with Texas and that talent,
Texas's run offense is not that great. It hasn't been that great all season. That's not Bijan Robinson's fault. That's the offensive line's fault. TCU does leave some room to be desired on defense, and I wouldn't be surprised if Texas puts up 34 to 38 points here, but I wouldn't be surprised if TCU puts up 45 on the other end. They're going to throw the ball over them.
You just disregard the fact that it's on the road, that it's not going to be a friendly environment.
I'm not.
TCU's
I wasn't
big
even
wins.
finished.
Okay.
I know what you're saying. This is a tough spot. Texas is much more talented than them from a talent perspective. This is a tough game. If they win this would be, without a doubt, their most impressive win. And their wins have not aged great. You're not wrong about that either. And I just think this is a lot closer of a matchup than 3 to 4 touchdowns.
Here are the wins that have propelled TCU to number 4 in the country. It was beating ranked Oklahoma at the time. They're not good. It was beating ranked Kansas. Solid team. Again, the quarterback change in the middle of the game couldn't have helped Kansas at all. They beat Oklahoma State, who was number 8 at the time, is not a good team. They beat Kansas State, not a great team. Like, all of their wins are not against very good teams. Not to say Texas is like a national title worthy team, but this would be the best team they faced in my estimation, and it's at Texas. And
Tell me.
Gary Patterson's on the other sideline.
Gary
Patterson's on. I think that could
I
matter.
don't know how that's legal. I will say that before we get to that, you micro-managed each win, saying that's propelled them. What's propelled them to their ranking right now is the fact that they're undefeated in the Big 12 in the middle of November. So, again, they can only do as much. I mean, I say this every single week. They can only do what's asked of them to do, and they haven't dropped a game they shouldn't, even if it was close. Like, they have won every single one of those games. Now, if you want to nitpick every single game, that's fine, but Texas still has lost. Like, they've lost to a team that TCU did beat. I'm not saying
I'm not
that's where they're
ranking
gonna win.
Texas ahead of TCU.
No,
I'm saying
I
they're
know,
going to win this game.
And that's fine. I think the where Jack and I are coming from is, like, what makes them 3 touchdowns better?
I think he's being he's exaggerating a little bit there.
Oh, I don't.
No, you know why?
not.
You know why?
No,
Because
he's
everybody whenever games aren't always close.
I'm with you.
Games aren't always close. And like when they're predicting a game, I'm going to go 38-35. I'll go 31-27. Everybody always says the same scores. When a team loses sometimes, they just fucking lose. They just fucking get drilled. I think Texas is going to come out. Let's say it's 24-17 at the half, and then they get really rolling. They score to begin the third quarter. It's 31-17. Everybody's going crazy, loud, wild. It's the toughest environment they've been in. The spotlight's bright. Max Duggan throws an interception. Touchdown Texas, 38-17. Ball game's over.
Over, but
that's how I feel this could happen. Competitive. Oh, fuck, they're up 3 touchdowns.
Do you think that Texas...
Like Georgia, Alabama last year in the national title game. Georgia beat them by 18 points. Or 15 points, excuse me. Like games don't always come down to 3, 4, 7 points. I think when Texas wins, it will be decisive, and this will end
Texas
for TCU.
has such a great offense, but in their last 3 games in the second half, they've scored 3 points, 3 points, and 10 points.
And then
that's not great.
And then TCU is really good at coming back from being down.
And we know Texas's pass defense is not great.
Do you think TCU is going to win the game?
I do think TCU is going to win the game, but I know you just said it's cliche with it. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do think TCU will win, yes.
You think TCU is going to win the game?
Yeah. I'm on it.
Well, I think Texas is going to win.
Yeah, that's
Good
great.
for you. You're allowed to have that opinion.
That was a great
Katie?
discussion.
Because of the line and what Vegas set it at, will be taking Texas. Like, I will be blindly taking Arkansas too, just strictly based on the line.
Yeah, and this is.
I hate that. Ugh, that makes my blood boil.
Why?
But that's a thing.
It's not a thing. That's what they're. That's
what
these are
Vegas-
proper lines.
But
I
like,
don't know,
if
man.
you had to place this
For
game,
LSU,
though,
Arkansas, Vegas is absolutely begging you to take LSU. They're
If-
getting
what would
down on
you
their
place
knees
it
and
at?
saying, "Please take
you-
LSU."
Would you be crazy? Would you I think Texas, theoretically speaking, right, from a power ratings perspective, is a top 10 team in the country.
I think there is a top 10 team within Texas.
Yeah.
Sometimes we see it. They're again, young
consistent.
quarterback, young talent. They got some old talent too, but young talent. Like it's flighty, but it's in there, and they're certainly more talented than TCU. I just think this is a moment where Texas stands up and says, "This is cute, guys. Nice that you're in the playoff. Get below us again."
I don't know if that happens this year.
It happens this game. Like this is the showdown.
I think Quinn Ewers is going to be awesome. I've been very high on Bijan Robinson, but I think that when you look and there is an element of yes, like Texas versus TCU and any of the other smaller schools, like playing Texas is the pinnacle, right? That is going against Goliath, regardless of how bad they are. However, we have seen in the past where TCU has been able to be more successful than Texas, and this Texas team is good and they have greatness in them. But they are still so young, and that defense does have holes in it. So why has this TCU team? Why can't it expose those things?
Y'all keep saying. Can you go back to the original screen? The TCU. Y'all keep saying Texas defense has a bunch of holes in it. Has this? Has that? Yeah. TCU's defense is worse. It's worse. It's a worse defense.
That's not true.
Okay, so it's better that they're giving up 15 more yards a game than Texas.
Where? Well, I mean, from an efficiency standpoint, it's. Like they also face much more plays.
Well, that's I'm telling you right now that if you look at total defense in this country, Texas is ahead of TCU.
Yeah, but that's because TCU's defense has faced more plays.
I'm just saying, if you're coming in here and saying TCU's going to win because Texas's defense is not very good, you are ignoring half the issue because TCU's defense isn't good either.
I think they're very comparable.
Fine, I'll take comparable. I'll take home. I'll take history.
Okay.
I'll take TCU being in a big spot. I'll take everything.
Would you take yards per play? Is this?
No, that's like I would rather you look at like SP plus.
I think we've looked at the defensive stats enough. We've got a good discussion point there.
My thing is that I think if Quinn Ewers and that offense and Bijan Robinson, who like Jack said, like the rushing offense for Texas has not lived up to the standard that we thought it would. I mean, early in the season we were talking about Bijan being in New York. I think that what we've seen from TCU's offense has been more like they've not been as explosive at times, but it's definitely been more predictable that they are going to stay that good. Didn't Texas beat Iowa State by 3 points?
I don't want to disregard what you just said. I just want to.
Yeah,
I don't think you know.
Should have lost that game.
Huh? Okay. TCU is probably the most explosive offense in the country.
Mm-hmm. But Texas will have the moments where it's like, wow, Quinn Ewers, wow, Bijan Robinson. I'm saying that from TCU, like TCU's never shown us that this offense can have a bad game. Texas has. Mm-hmm. That's where I was coming from with that.
Where on that schedule would TCU have shown it is my problem.
But
they didn't play Alabama. I don't know.
They're playing the same schedule that Texas is playing.
But again, even in their losses, Texas scored 34 points in one of their losses, and then they didn't have Quinn Ewers in the other one. So I'm not. We've discussed it too far, and now we're just running in circles. You think TCU is going to win? You think TCU is going to win? I'm telling you right now, Texas is about to hammer TCU. The TCU story is nice, and when it's all said and done, they're 10-2 in the first year of Sonny Dykes, and it's great. But this is not a team built or good enough to go 12-0 in a Power 5 conference. It's just not. That's what I believe.
That is 1,000% fine.
All right, what's the other big games we got here? What
You know what? I brought in my papers.
Go ahead.
It's from Week 10.
That's
They're from
what-
Week 10.
that's-
They're from Week 10.
You don't.
To Jack's credit, he nailed the yards per play for Texas
I
versus
don't
TCU.
care. Jack's the worst.
Like,
Jack doesn't get credit for that.
Texas is 25th, TCU is like 70th.
Jack doesn't get credit for that. Do you
I'm
know?
giving the-
Speaking
I'm giving
of
him
credit,
credit.
though, you know
Yeah.
that
No, yeah.
Huh?
if you have credit
Jack,
cards,
Jack loves
No.
when we get a good transition in.
well, I thank y'all for all just ruining it.
All I said was yeah.
Speaking of credit, if you have credit cards and you want to carry them around in awesome fashion, look at this. I'm holding it in my hand. I saw it on Katie's desk the other day. I was like, my God, that thing looks incredible. That is the Ridge wallet right there. You can carry your credit cards. You can carry everything in a nice little compact wallet. It's not bulky. Doesn't take up a lot of space. You protect everything. It has RFID blocking technology.
And I know
so-
you know that stuff works, but I always kind of think it's urban legend. I have to take the key out of the case. Like,
Yeah.
it does not work. Like,
It completely
legit.
works. You have to. It blocks everything. You can't read those cards with a reader or anything. Somebody can't steal your identity. Ridge Wallet it holds up to 12 cards. It has room for cash. There's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. What you guys at rose gold?
Yeah.
Why are you two on a rose gold kick?
Every girl's on a
This
rose
was
gold
the
kick.
one that I liked, and the other one was like cobalt.
They've
Rose
got over
gold's
30
pretty.
colors, including carbon fiber, burnt titanium. They also have the key case that holds anywhere from 2 to 6 keys, organizing your keys in a compact silhouette and fold out for easy access. They got 6 colors and styles in that one, and they got carbon fiber and burnt titanium.
You know how you've mentioned before that I've never actually held one of the Ridge wallets, how the like normal standard wallets
Yeah.
get all bulky and they
Yeah.
somehow feel like you're like blowing them up sometimes.
Right.
Shit's not going to happen with
No,
Ridge.
no, it's incredible. Go to ridge.com, use the code UR for 10% off your first order. Again, that's UR for 10% off your first order at ridge.com. Katie's showing us all the great colors
The
and
Hennessy
styles.
Performance one is still one of my favorites.
You know, when they
There's
said
new
they had over
Hula.
30 colors and styles, I thought, okay, well, they got brown, they got pink, they got all these. No, they got tropical, they got these tiki, they got that's Damascus, which is like a black and white. It's incredible. They got a bunch of designs.
Hennessy Performance.
Burnt titanium, stonewashed titanium. It's just a great deal. Go to
Forged
ridge.com,
carbon.
use code UR for 10% off your first order. All right. So we got, what were the 4 games we talked about? We talked about TCU, Texas. We talked about NC Wake. We talked about
LSU, Arkansas.
LSU,
and
Arkansas.
then there was one more.
LSU or
UCF.
Ole Miss, Alabama.
Yeah, let's go there.
Ole Miss, Alabama.
Let's go there. First of all, could be a historic day in Mississippi. When,
That happened one time.
October 2014,
that's
we
what-
beat
yeah.
Texas A&M. They beat Alabama the same day, and then we went to number
I-
1. They,
Happy anniversary. Today's the anniversary of Johnny beating Alabama.
I saw that. It made me feel very sad. That was 10 years ago.
good tweet the other day.
Yes,
catching the anniversary of 4th and 25.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
With the
you're welcome.
bluegrass miracle.
Oh, a lot of anniversaries around.
that happened, I
I
think,
guess
like
we're in
2 days
football
ago.
season, so that makes sense that we.
But the 4th and 25, like my favorite day ever.
it was the best.
I loved that you gave Jack credit on that tweet too.
I don't understand. Jack runs a Twitter account.
Yeah, and Katie helps a lot too.
It was a tweet.
I will say, I just caught up on that. I thought he was genuinely complimenting
It
you.
was a tweet that came from the Unnecessary Roughness Twitter account, so I don't know why I wouldn't think
Brandon
that.
was tweeting it himself.
No, he didn't.
I do not have the password to the
I
account.
sat with you just 10
I don't have
minutes
the
before we
password
did
to
this
the
podcast.
account. I don't understand why you keep with these lies and slander.
You know what? It was probably Noah.
No, I appreciate that. Way to get up and way to get on board with what we do on this show.
I can't
You know-
believe I actually thought you were saying something nice to Jack.
Yeah.
No.
The dead giveaway
We're
that
not in the
Brandon
business of thank yous.
the
Fair.
dead
I
the
should
dead
know
giveaway
better.
that Brandon has tweeted something from Unnecessary Roughness is when he thanks Jack from his personal account. That's a dead giveaway. It is a
and I do
will
it.
say, when he tweets off that account, they're usually bangers. They get like 1,000 likes. each time.
definitely. But
So
it is
like he could do it whenever the
if
fuck you want.
if you ever see Brandon Walker being like, "Oh, that was a great tweet," to anybody other than himself, it's because he's tweeted it.
I should
Also-
know better. Oh, no.
that great tweet always comes like 3 seconds.
3
after,
seconds.
right?
All he's done is just
Log
gone up
out,
to the
log
corner.
out.
Yes, he's like literally just clicked his picture up top. It's a dead giveaway.
But listen, all jokes aside, Noah, this podcast would not be the same without me. Alabama,
that's
Ole Miss,
true.
really a big game? This is a place where I'm torn. This is a place where I'm torn.
okay, hold on. Can I paint a picture?
Yeah.
Can I paint a picture for Jack right now?
Yeah.
I know Katie was there again, not spoiling anything, but you know, one of the biggest storylines of the last few weeks of the college football show has been Brandon's choice to take Alabama. Fine. We don't have to get into all the details. There was a huge argument on the show. Dave relentlessly going after him. So then I set up this game. And I say, Brandon, I know you're in a really tough spot here, but the spread yesterday was 11.5. It looks like it's 12 today. Are you going to take Ole Miss, or are you going to stick with the Alabama narrative that has gotten you buried for the last 15 minutes on this show? And have you changed your mind?
When's that game?
3:30.
3:30 on CBS.
3:30.
So who's the main event of that UFC card?
Is Israel Adesanya against Pereira?
Oh, let's talk about that.
Yo, I mean,
That's
it's a
what I'm
banger.
going to be watching. I'm going to be watching the prelims that start at hopefully 3:30.
Prelim starts 6, but that'll be the end of this game.
How about the pregame of the prelims?
There's no the prelim.
There's no preliminary.
there-
Is it
Preliminary.
like crowd shot from people outside? Like the red carpet?
Could he watch like a weigh-in from the day before, maybe?
Yeah, I watched Adesanya's greatest hits or something.
Adesanya, Pereira knocked him out in kickboxing, and they're fighting for the first time in the UFC. It's like, can Izzy defend his losses in
Also-
kickboxing?
Izzy to the hizzy.
Meatball Molly.
Meatball Molly's fighting. She'll be fighting around like 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
You have to pick.
Here's the thing. Also, since you're doing that, I'm a little woke to you.
What are you talking about?
I'm a little woke to you.
What did I do?
Oh,
I didn't say
you're-
I was
you're-
woke
No,
about
no. On the show, you said the words. You said the sentence. This Alabama team is clearly not as good as old Alabama teams, and I've been saying that all year.
Jack, have I not been saying
that all year? From the very beginning? From the very beginning?
Jack's put it out on
From the
our
very
social-
beginning?
Jack's been putting
From
it
the
out.
very
on our-
beginning?
I said it after
From the very
Texas.
beginning?
Have I not been saying this is not the same Alabama
very
team all
beginning?
season?
No, you may have been saying that, but Casey has often brought up the penalties, and I think that is a great microcosm for what Alabama's
He's saying that I've
issues
not
are
been
this
saying it
year.
all season. I've been saying it since after
No,
Texas.
Yes.
So
Well, that's not all season.
it's after week 2.
That's not all season.
Software. We just said there
So-
was a lot going on behind
So
it.
you're woke to a take that listen. I've been wrong on a hell of a lot, but one of the things because Jack's been
Okay,
putting-
listen. If my crime...
It's not, I don't think you've been that criminal.
If my crime...
I don't think you've been that criminal.
If my crime is believing that Alabama was going to bounce back when they got a loss and go beat LSU, if my crime is believing in the greatest coach of all time and the best dynasty of the last 15 years, lock me up. Here,
Brandon,
lock me
can
up.
I tell you what you're doing right now? And
Nice
it's okay.
soapbox.
I do it a lot. You're lashing out at me. I don't think that it's a crime that you've done that. I've been criminal with some of my takes too. You're mad at Dan and Dave and you're taking it out on me.
I was wrong about Alabama going to
It's
LSU.
okay.
I
you
thought
notice
this
the
team.
soapbox he built himself
I thought
right
this
there?
team lost to Tennessee, and they were going to get back. And I thought they were going to get to the SEC title game with one loss. And obviously, they went and lost to LSU, and they kind of screwed that dream up. Now, there are two massive questions going into Alabama and Ole Miss because this is big. Ole Miss could win the West.
Which is
Ole Miss could win the West.
very much on the table. Very, very much.
Here are your two questions. How much buy-in do Alabama players have? They're not used to playing where there's not a whole lot on the table anymore. They're not used to playing for a team that isn't in the national title hunt or in the top 5. The second question is probably more important. Is Ole Miss actually worth a shit? Because the answer might be no. The answer might, and listen, could be yeah, but look at their schedule. They have one win over a team with a winning record, I believe. They might have two, but they got one halfway decent win. That was a 22-19 win over Kentucky. Otherwise, they gave up 28 to Vanderbilt, 34 to Auburn. They beat A&M 31-28. They beat Tulsa 35-27.
And LSU kicked the shit out
LSU
of
kicked
them.
the living shit out of them. They played one tough game this year and got destroyed. So I know 8-1's a shiny record. I know Lane Kiffin is the toast of college football. But if you look at Ole Miss's schedule, it might be the biggest fraud and phony in college football. I'm saying it might be because it might not be. He's also had a bye week, and he's playing an Alabama team who sucks on the road. This game's got me in a complete pretzel.
But that's where you can play the middle ground, which you did very good yesterday, because it's like you think Alabama's going to win because you have been saying all year that Ole Miss is a fraudulent team. We can stick with that. But the line doesn't make sense either because they have struggled on the road.
Right, and they're still double-digit favorites.
Right.
I think they're going to win this game by like 7. I think they're a better team. I don't think Ole Miss is all that good. But if you get an uninterested Alabama team, if you get an Alabama team who's like, fuck it, I'm getting drafted in 3 months, or I'm getting drafted in 6 months, or fuck it, I'm transferring to LSU. Like, I don't know. We haven't seen that. Like This is the earliest in the season they've had 2 losses in ever.
Do you think Bryce is still fighting for Heisman?
I don't think
Or
so.
has
I
he
think
given
that
up?
ship sailed. I think
And he
that
already
ship
has
sailed on-
one too. So probably in his head, he's like,
I think
I
that
wanna
ship
get
has
ready.
sailed on him. Not out of any of his doing, but I think that's done.
And here's another side to this team that does feel different with Saban. Is a lot of times we've seen at Alabama where he'll have the loss and then he'll come out and this team kicks the shit out of somebody else because they're buying into him. We know that there's something weird with this team with how undisciplined they've been, the just the vibe around the penalties, like Jack mentioned that we've been talking about all year. So it's not like even saying like, okay, Nick Saban's going to go in and play Lane Kiffin. Obviously, there's the assistant, the familiarity. This team doesn't seem like they want to fight for Nick Saban like we've seen in the past.
And without at risk
And
of
I'm just that's from my outside looking in. I
at
don't know
risk
how the
of
locker room.
at
is,
risk
but-
of saying the same things I did last week, falling in the same trap. I mean, doubt Nick Saban and Alabama at your own peril. Like I just. But listen, I'm a pretzel because Ole Miss had a bye week. They're 8-1, and their little pathetic stadium. It's the worst stadium in the SEC. It doesn't get very loud, but it will be as loud as it can possibly get this Saturday. So
I have a question for you.
What?
A truth serum question. If it was any other team that had the exact same record and won the games the exact same way Ole Miss has this year, it just wasn't Ole Miss, would you feel the same way?
no, I'll tell you why. Yes, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I have had a pretty good record of pointing out fake teams this
Yes,
year.
you have. Very good.
When Arkansas was 4-0 and undefeated, I said, guys, that ain't real, and it wasn't. When Kentucky was 4-0 and number 7 in the country, I said, guys, that ain't real, and it wasn't. And now I'm telling you guys, that ain't real.
Got
So
Syracuse too. Clemson.
thank you, Syracuse, Clemson.
Earlier
yes,
this morning, you did UNC.
I did, and listen, all that's true. I kind of feel it about TCU. So I've had a decent track record of pointing at teams and saying when it's not right.
If
You have.
TCU wins, though,
Huh?
if TCU wins,
Yeah.
are you not saying
I think this is the line in the sand game.
Say,
This is the line in the sand game. If TCU wins this game against Texas, I have to put my hat in my hand, bend the knee, and say, guys, you win because you're clearly a team of destiny as a special team.
Okay. What about this game being a line in the sand? Would you say the same thing if Ole Miss beats Alabama?
No, because I think regardless of what happens here, Ole Miss is going to Arkansas and getting their ass kicked next week.
Do you think Arkansas is going to beat LSU and Ole Miss?
It's possible. It's possible that the SEC West is just a bunch of teams, right? Like LSU lost to Florida State, and now they're poised. They're up in the top 10 again because they've beaten Alabama. Did LSU get magically incredible, or is the West kind of not great?
The West is kind of not great, but I do think LSU has gotten a lot better.
They've improved in the framework of their season, but have they improved that much? Like if you look at Arkansas, who lost to Liberty, I don't know, man. I think outside of Auburn and outside of what A&M has turned into, sadly, this year, the other 5 teams are pretty neck and neck in that West.
Oh, I would agree.
But
I do think that LSU has gotten. They played the Jekyll and
gotten
Hyde
better,
games
sure.
too, but they've also shown where they look really good and then they look really bad. I don't.
you can't ignore that they played Tennessee and Alabama both at home, beat one by 30 and beat one by, or lost to one by 30 and beat one by 1.
Correct.
And that should tell you a little bit.
You can't ignore it. That's where we fall in the trap of what we every single week, every single year is the college football math. You are correct. I just wonder when it comes to Ole Miss, it's like I don't think they're going to win. I think Alabama will win. I do think it will be within the points, though. I don't think that Alabama's blowing anybody out, especially on the road. But if Ole Miss does, then I do think that we have to be forced to look at this team and say they might not be blowing teams out. Their defense might be giving up a ton of points. Their defense might have given up way too many yards to teams that had no business running up on them. However, they are pretty good.
That'd be their biggest win by far. So, yeah, you would have to pay attention to them, and they would be they'd be in the playoff race at that point. Now, they'll get embarrassed by Georgia. So they've only got 1 loss.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I was looking at you just with, like, future pity in my eye.
Oh, I don't care if they win. Listen, I'm already assured a good ending to this season due to the fact that Lane Kiffin's already accepted an offer to be Auburn's head coach.
What are you going to do if that just doesn't happen?
I don't understand what
Okay.
what would I do if this air stopped? If I stopped breathing air right now, like this, it's just a certainty.
So
It's
you're
done.
100% sure.
Guys. What do I have to do? Do I have to get it tattooed on my ass?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we for content?
We just have to see it happen.
I'm
Lane
not saying you're
Kiffin will
wrong.
be
I'm
Auburn's
not,
next head
I'm not
coach.
saying you're wrong. I'm just
That's done. Finished.
Then why don't we know
sources.
yet?
I'll tell you what.
Are you about to write me a deal and
No.
slide it across the table?
Oh, no, he's about to write a source.
I'm going to write down how many years and how much, put it in my wallet.
Ooh.
And
Well,
then
let me put it in my wallet.
No, I'm going to put it in my wallet. Yeah, it ain't going nowhere.
Okay.
How many years and how much? Oh.
Put it in your Ridge wallet. Do I get to see it?
No.
Why not?
I will pull it out when the time comes.
Wait, no, have her sign that. Like, we need to make sure
She don't have to sign it. We just did it in front of God and everybody.
could be a fake-
There's a date on it.
Okay, fine.
Just did it in front of God and everybody.
It's a high. I like it on record. It is a high
Here,
noon.
You know what? You know what?
High noon ad read from November the 10th.
You know what?
I'll
No,
stick it in my Ridge
no,
wallet.
No,
I'll stick
absolutely
it in
not.
my Ridge wallet.
Noah,
Fair.
I need you.
Wait, why can't Katie use it?
Oh, come on. Noah, I just need you to put this somewhere and keep it for when the time comes. Can you do that?
I can do that.
You trust,
catch.
You trust Noah, huh?
Of course I trust Noah.
Over us?
I made
Probably.
Noah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh.
Please. I think Alabama
But-
wins this football game.
Real talk, Noah. For real. Keep up with that, okay? Thank you.
I do think Alabama wins, though. So I don't think you have to worry
Also,
about
if
it.
I need you to lose that,
That's where I'm starting to get worried.
what? What?
Because I feel like Noah would be the most influenced to lose it because he won't want to get bullied by you.
No, he's gonna watch this one. He's gonna bring that thing out in December at the end of the season, and it's gonna be a piping hot, fresh take.
What?
Speaking of fresh,
Yep.
Jack.
the holidays are just around the corner, and HelloFresh makes this busy time of the year easier than ever with chef-crafted recipes and pre-portioned ingredients delivered right to your door so you can spend less time meal planning and prepping. Casey, I don't have to twist your arm to talk about HelloFresh. I know that you get it at your house. I know that you get freshly prepared meals. All you got to do is you open that
So
box.
good.
You have a recipe card. They have the ingredients right there. Look at the recipe card. Bam, 30 minutes. You're eating delicious food.
Brandon, their fall menu has been hitting so good.
With over 35 weekly recipes, there's something to please everyone. You can also easily customize your recipes by swapping proteins or sides, upgrading to choice proteins, even adding protein to a veggie meal. Quality is HelloFresh's priority. Listen, this isn't just a cheap box sent to you. These are fresh, prepackaged ingredients that are all just right there for you. They're delicious. They're the highest quality of the highest freshness. They are incredible. Ingredients travel from farm to your home in less than 7 days, so you know they're always fresh. Busy days and late nights call for more flexibility. That's why HelloFresh has plans that work with your schedule. You can change your preference, delivery day, or address in just a few clicks. I, too, at my house, get HelloFresh, and I, too, love it. My wife has 4 kids and a husband who, is kind of an idiot sometimes. So it helps her schedule to sometimes just be able to sit down and crack that box open and and deliver some delicious food on the table. It is HelloFresh. I got an offer for you right now.
What is it?
Go to HelloFresh.com/Walker65. Use code Walker65. You know how much % off you get?
65?
That a girl.
65.
Use code Walker65 for 65% off plus free shipping. Go to HelloFresh.com/Walker65. Use code Walker65 for 65% off plus free shipping. That's WALKER65 at HelloFresh.com/Walker65.
How much? That's a lot of 65s.
What?
May I go to the bathroom?
You may go. Would you like us to talk, or would you like us to take
I
the time
just
out?
need to pee.
Go pee. Go.
Okay.
You're peeing for 2.
Yes.
All right. Thank God she's gone. Let's go. Let's move on. Why don't you pull that slate up for us? Stats.
There's other ranked games we have, too.
Don't
Oh.
Rush
ever.
him.
Don't ever,
Holler.
ever holler at
Holla.
me again. There's other ranked games. You've got UCF and Tulane, number 22 at 17. Huge spot for Tulane. Tulane having a great year under Willie Fritz. UCF, they're playing well under Gaston Malzahn, doing a lot of it with a backup quarterback. They beat Memphis on the road last week. You also have, in ranked games, you have Washington, I believe, at Oregon.
Yep.
Oregon, a 13-point favorite. I believe, isn't there one more that I'm missing?
UNC Wake.
Oh, yes.
Wake was ranked in AP.
North Carolina, number 15, they're at Wake Forest. This is where I think it ends for you, Katie Stats. I'm sorry.
No, but I have a little bit of a bone. Last week you guys said, why are you so not high on UNC, not excited? But your clip from this morning about Wake Forest and what you said last night on the Brandon Walker show, you were just like, they're not good. Everyone knows it. They're not good. So how you say that but still annoyed at me?
Because you have to enjoy 8-1 no matter how it comes. If you're 8-1, I'd give my left arm to be 8-1. If you're 8-1,
but even if you're like the Ole Miss 8-1,
listen, Katie, you think those idiots down there are saying, "Yeah, we're actually not very good"? No. You take 8-1 out for a ride. You take it and put it in front of everybody's face. It doesn't matter how you got 8-1. It doesn't matter that you actually think, "Oh, we're not very good." You're 8-1. You say, "Well, if we're not good, how come nobody beats us? If we're not good, how come Notre Dame's the only team that beat us? We're 8-1. Fuck all y'all." That's what you say, and you're not enjoying it to the fullest. It's like I gave you a brand new car, and you went you went on the highway, and you're driving at 35 miles an hour.
You'll be 4 in.
Why is your hood on?
I did it for a second.
Why am I I'm gonna start laughing at everyone passing them, and then we're gonna break down the side of the highway, and then they're all gonna pass me by.
Yeah, but you'll always have that moment where you passed them.
You want the last laugh.
You'll be 3 and 6 in like 7 years or something. You'll be like, man.
There's a chance we'll be 3 and 6 next year.
Remember when we were 8-1?
Yeah, and I didn't take
advantage of it.
I didn't live my best life back then.
Fine, fair points.
I didn't see a win against an FBS team for 3 years.
Back when I was working for future billionaire Brandon Walker, I just didn't know how good I had it.
Billionaire? Wow. Oh, well, you're already a millionaire.
Thank you, Jack. Hey,
What Depends on the day.
It really does. Also, that wave wasn't really a wave. You told me it was going to be a wave.
No, I never said that. I never said that.
Big T told me it was going to be a wave.
Big T did say that, but whatever.
You know what I figured out, though?
What?
Ronnie D's the guy.
What's happening?
Yeah.
I don't
Ronnie
know.
D's the guy.
What wave?
Looks like it.
We got to put the old guy to pasture.
He's not going to pasture,
It's
though.
Ronnie D time. He's going to have to.
What wave?
Nothing.
If Katie doesn't understand what's happening and she's been in
The
the
Tulane wave.
Tulane Green Wave. They're ranked.
Sure.
Willie Fritz.
Uh-huh.
All
How
right.
old is Willie Fritz?
You know what? I got to be honest. The man could be 35, the man could be 75, and I couldn't tell you.
I feel like he's
67.
His name being Willie
62.
Fritz is ridiculous.
And it's also just been like, I feel like Willie Fritz has just been a name I've always said, which is not true.
Yeah,
But
he's just always around, but
Yes.
he's never. Let's go through the slate. Is that the best way we got it pulled up? You usually pull it. That's what I want right there.
I know. I just do. That's all the ranked people in one spot.
I know a game I want to start with because we've mentioned it a bunch, but I want your take for real. LSU Arkansas, 12 o'clock.
It is
ESPN.
easy to get swept up in LSU mania right now when things are going good. They beat Alabama at home, and it's great and it's awesome. It's hard for me to really reconcile the fact that if we want on one side saying, you know what, this ain't the same Alabama, this ain't a great Alabama, they're not very good. And then on the other side saying LSU is incredible and should go to the playoff because they beat Alabama. Like there's a gap a mile wide there. And the reality is LSU is a team that last Saturday beat Alabama. But they've been very inconsistent this year. They had to come back and beat a bad Auburn team. They got destroyed by Tennessee. They lost to Florida State. I know teams are not the same from September 1st to now, and they can get better. But for every time LSU seems like they've risen up, they have some inconsistency this year. And I feel like this is a trap of all traps. You just beat Alabama, Death Valley, Saturday night, ESPN, earthquake game. We got the seismographs out, which for some reason we only use them to measure football crowds at LSU. We got all that going, and then the next week, we got to wake up on Saturday morning. We got to get on the bus, and we got to go to Razorback Stadium and play Arkansas, who lost to Liberty last week.
Do we think any
Danger time. Danger.
This would not be the tune if we did not see the Vegas line.
No, I think it's still a trap, regardless of the line. It's
I
still
would
a
have
trap.
said at like 11.
Because Arkansas.
11?
Yeah.
Arkansas.
All right, give me Arkansas plus 11.
Arkansas, as much as I was right about them, if you remember what I said this Arkansas is a pretty good team, around about 15 to 25. They're just not a top 10 team, which is what everybody wants to say. When you discount a team like this, and KJ Jefferson, who can run for 200 yards, and this running back, Rocket Sanders, who can lead the league in rushing, you discount them, you're in trouble. And I just think this is the biggest trap that ever trapped for LSU.
There is definitely an element of buying into the LSU hype too much, and that is a trap to me. However, I do think, and this has nothing to do with how I feel about Arkansas, because KJ Jefferson is very good when he wants to be. This team has, and I know they should beat Liberty 10 out of 10 times, but losing to Liberty is not some like horrible black mark. Liberty is a decent football team.
Liberty's a decent football team.
Decent football team. Now, they should beat them every single time they play. However, this LSU team, for me, it's because they are in the driver's seat right now of the SEC West. I'm not saying that that's the sole reason that they can win, but they are playing for something so much bigger. And what is Arkansas playing for? That to me does come into play.
They're still building a program there. They're still doing things. I've done okay this year when identifying what a Saturday is going to be. And here's my guess for what this Saturday is going to be. This Saturday at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, we will all look up and make the realization that this was the year the balance of power in the SEC officially went from west to east. Georgia officially took the crown from Alabama. Tennessee officially came up and gave Georgia a run. But if you look at the west to east, if LSU were to lose this game and Ole Miss were to lose to Alabama, all of a sudden nobody in the west has less than 2 losses. That is very much on the table.
And you know what else is very much on the table?
What?
Just absolute chaos in the West, because let's say Arkansas beats LSU.
Yeah.
Ole Miss beats Alabama. Yeah. Then we're sitting there just like, who really is the best team in the West?
I mean, Ole Miss is going to win the West at that point,
right,
unless Arkansas beats them the next week.
But then they would win it. But then it's like, are they really the best team in the West, or did they just win the games? Like, that's what's so crazy.
If LSU and Alabama were to lose again this weekend, you realize, there's not really a team of great strength in the West. And I think that is very much at play here. I just think LSU, they're good, and they just had a huge win. But in the SEC, you gotta come every Saturday, and this scares the shit out of me if I'm an LSU fan. If I'm an LSU fan today, I'm terrified.
I don't think a lot of people would expect me to say this because of how I talk to Katie, but I think LSU is going to run for like 450 yards on them. Jalen Daniels is going to do his best Jalen Milroe impression against this Arkansas defense, and LSU is going to put up 35 to 42 points.
Then why they Arkansas plus 11?
Well, that's an insane line. If I would take as much of a line, as much of a bet as you would let me take, and then I would just take LSU minus 3.
We're going to see here, man.
You just hyped up LSU's offense. Do you think Arkansas's offense will run with them?
Arkansas's offense can run with them. Arkansas's defense does suck.
Their pass defense is just
and I do feel like Arkansas, we did see them come back against Liberty a little bit last week. But I do think that Arkansas has the potential this week to, the atmosphere will be crazy. I mean, they could lose every game, I feel like, and these Arkansas fans love Sam Pittman so much, and good for them, that they're going to be rowdy. They're going to be rowdy, but I could see this being a situation where LSU comes out for the first couple series and scores, even if they hold them to field goals, and that this Arkansas defense just kind of deflates.
When you say Arkansas has nothing to play for, Katie, and that's fine in the context.
I said it.
Whoever said it.
I didn't say
you're both the same person to me.
I didn't say they had nothing to play for. I said in comparison to what LSU has
But when you say Arkansas has nothing to play for, you also need to put in the context exactly where Arkansas was 2 years ago. Arkansas was in the ditch, the worst team in the SEC, and Sam Pittman did rescue them. And 8-4 is still very much a play for them. If they were to beat LSU and kickstart this back half of the season, they could save this season and make it a solid season.
Yes.
Also, all these guys are playing for NFL spots too, and even spots for next year's team or transfer.
Yeah, I'd like to clarify. I didn't say they have nothing to play for. I said in comparison,
they have less to play for than LSU.
Yeah, and I said, what do they have to play for? There's reasons to play. I just think that with Brian Kelly, and I was one of those people. Brian Kelly losing to Florida State and then getting the shit kicked out of him by Tennessee. It was just like, all right, this team, it's year one. We'll see what he can do. In year one, they could play for the SEC championship. And to me, a noon game against Arkansas, who has had a disappointing season for what they thought they were going to have, because they did expect to be better than 8-4. This LSU team feels like, especially how their offense has been rolling, that they can go into Fayetteville and take care of business.
I just wonder if LSU, Arkansas, Alabama, Ole Miss, Mississippi State are all 8-4 teams.
They could easily be.
That's what I wonder. All right, continue as we go back to the slate and we talk about. So at noon on Saturday, you're going to wake up and you're going to have Ohio State beating the ever-living dog shit out of Indiana. That's going to be fun. Tennessee
will beat the ever-living dog shit out of Missouri.
I wonder about that one.
Really?
Yeah. The number's big. It's 21 or something like that. And Tennessee also coming off their deflating loss at Georgia. They're at home. It's a noon game. And Missouri is this year's Nebraska. They're a decent team. They're a decent team that will end up with a terrible record. They figure out ways to lose. Last week, the way they figured out to lose to Kentucky is just shocking. The way they roughed the punter on it was crazy. But they lost to Kentucky like that. They lost to Auburn like that. They lost to Georgia in the last minute. So Missouri's game.
Don't you think, though, that Tennessee's going to come out and just – it's like you talk about Alabama bouncing back and beating the shit out of people. It's like the way that they – played last week against Georgia, they could come out and just take it all out on Missouri.
It's very possible. Purdue's at number 21 Illinois in a game of how close are we to Illinois wrapping up this Big Ten West? Are we closer at all? Or I know they lost last week. The rest of the Big Ten West being so disappointing. Let me see Big Ten West standings real quick. I want to see who my sacrificial lamb is to go to Indianapolis.
If they beat Purdue, I feel like
I don't think Minnesota's eliminated yet. I think Wisconsin's still got a puncher's chance right there. So in the West right now, yeah. So you got 4-2 Illinois and Iowa, Purdue. Look at that: Iowa, Purdue, Wisconsin, Minnesota. They're all 3-3 right behind them. So if Purdue were to beat Illinois, you would have 5 teams with at least 3 losses, at least going into this Saturday.
But if Illinois wins,
they're in good shape.
They're in the driver's seat for sure. I mean, they already are, but
would it go to overall percentage then next? After
who fucking knows? There's a lot of things I want to get into.
That's not one of them. Yep.
Getting into the percentages and breakdowns of who would win a mediocre Big Ten West only to get beat by 90 by Ohio State or Michigan, just not interesting to me.
I noticed your personal growth right there.
Oh, it's going to be Ohio State, but
I do like your personal growth there.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's nice to see.
Vanderbilt's at Kentucky in a game that their mothers will watch. Oklahoma's at West Virginia at noon. Liberty is at UConn.
Jack, how you feeling?
Good.
I think you could win that game.
Yeah, especially it's a big letdown spot.
Yeah.
It's weird. They going up to Connecticut.
Are they still on a third-string quarterback?
Yeah.
The fact they beat Arkansas, an SEC team on the road with their third-string quarterback, is remarkable.
But yeah, I really like UConn plus 14.5.
Rutgers is at Michigan State. Virginia Tech is at Duke. Michigan State's an interesting team to keep an eyeball on over the last 3 games because, listen, college football isn't all about just the teams who can play for a national title. These last 3 and 4 games are huge going into off seasons for teams. Like Michigan State were to win the last 3 or 4 and were able to finish on a strong note. That changes the tenor of their off season, changes everything. Mm-hmm. So these are important games for these teams, even when they don't feel like they're important to us or as a college football populace, not just
100%.
us. SMU at South Florida. We move on to the 3:30 window. That's when Nebraska is headed to Michigan to face the Michigan Wolverines.
Without Casey Thompson again.
The Bussin' Bowl.
Yep. You got Alabama at Ole Miss. That's where Louisville's going to Clemson. I'm very interested to see how Clemson gets off the mat after they got exposed. Do they care as much? They're going to have to chase Malik Cunningham all over the field. Louisville plus 7 looks mighty tasty to me. Maryland's at Penn State. Maryland's had a disappointing run recently. Boston College is at NC State. NC State not getting as much credit as they probably need for once Devin Leary got hurt. They're kind of putting together a strong back half of the season,
yes,
too. They beat Wake Forest last week. Then the aforementioned UCF at Tulane, probably the biggest Tulane home game 2 decades maybe. So, yeah, it's a long time. Arizona State is at Washington State in the Pac-12. Iowa State's at Oklahoma State. That's an interesting one, too, because Iowa State's been plugging along, not doing much, but Oklahoma State
forgot 1 game tomorrow, or 2 games tomorrow.
Okay, well, yeah, I understand we have games tomorrow.
No, 2 games tomorrow. In
I sure
Philadelphia.
I sure did. I was hoping to get to the end of what I was saying, but it doesn't matter because tomorrow night, Friday night, do you think I need this for this? In Philadelphia, it is the Barstool Sports Invitational, our first crack at hosting an in-season college basketball event. We are hosting 2 games, and by the way, you hear these names, I don't know what it stirs in you, but these are some great teams because UAB Toledo, who opened the event at 5 o'clock, it's UAB against Toledo, two of the better mid-majors in the country. They're going to get up and down the court. Jelly Walker scores about 30, 35. He's fantastic. UAB Toledo opens it up at 5, and then at 7, or 7:15, 7:30, you've got Akron and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. By the way, Katie, he's not answering me. I need another clip from my man.
Okay.
I need you to do that.
Do you know what specifically?
Anything. I just need clips to put out. And anyway, UAB Toledo at 5, Mississippi State Akron at 7. We'll be there. I just shout out the sponsors right now, right? Game Time is helping us with it. Pizza Hut's helping us with it. Of course, the Barstool Sportsbook. You'll see branding there. Dave and Dan will be on the call. Jake Marsh will be on the play-by-play. I will be hosting the Between Games studio show.
Nice.
I will be in the concourse hosting with Jeff Nadeau and Jeff DeLoe to get you from Game 1 to Game 2. I'll also probably be participating in some way in Yak basketball, and we're making a game time decision on whether I'm going to make a trampoline dunk tomorrow or not. So that's what we got, the Barstool Invitational. It's full Barstool, full college basketball, everything you love about Barstool. You can see. If you're in the Philly area, come see us, come watch it. If you are not, barstool.tv, beginning at 4:45 Eastern Time tomorrow. Watch it, barstool.tv. Again, the Barstool Invitational, Wells Fargo Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Friday, November 11th.
I can't wait to sit at home and watch it.
Yeah, I don't have that luxury, but it's going to be a good time.
You know how you can get that luxury?
Get pregnant?
Get knocked up.
All right.
Be far long enough where it's like, maybe she should just sit up and watch the TV.
Wisconsin, Iowa is interesting to me because that's two teams that are right there in the mix for the Big Ten West. And Iowa, I said it the other day, I think, don't look now, 33 points 2 weeks ago, 24 points last week. They can score enough to win this game.
Think they'll stick with Leonard?
I just don't. They're in a difficult spot, Wisconsin, because they love Jim Leonard as their defensive coordinator.
And they haven't done enough.
But they've given him a taste of the big job. And if he's not going to get the big job, does he stay in Wisconsin? Does he stay and be the coordinator for somebody else? I don't know if he would do that.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know if I would either.
But they haven't done enough. He hasn't done enough to solidify the head coaching job, but he hasn't done enough to not solidify it either.
So they have to make a choice. Are we willing to lose Jim Leonard as our defensive coordinator? Remember, he played here. He's one of us. Are we willing to sever that tie and go with somebody else? Or do we value him and we think he's going to grow into the coach once he's had a chance to right the ship himself? Interesting.
If you had to write it down on a piece of paper and give it to Noah, what would your prediction be?
We should do that more.
I think so, too.
I
like that.
We should write down a lot of things and just give it to Noah.
And make him just hang on to it.
Yeah.
Ask him nicely to hang on
by
to
the time, By Noah's just got a briefcase at the end of the season, just walking in. And
like on Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah.
The IOU.
Might want to keep that one. The Lamborghini. Washington and Oregon's a game we haven't talked about at all. Washington can score, and Penix is still having a good year. Oregon and Bo Nix are the story. We are entering Oregon blow-it territory where every single year they put themselves in position to go to the playoff and they figure out how to lose to Arizona or Arizona State.
Or Stanford last year.
Conditions are favorable for Oregon to start blowing it soon.
Oh, we might be in historically the blow-it season for Oregon, but you know who Oregon hasn't had?
Dan Lanning.
Bo Nix.
Okay.
Now, Bo Nix has blown it before. We have seen that. Just not in an Oregon uniform.
He has. Well, we'll see. I don't think they'll lose this game, but
I don't either.
Oregon's last three are not easy. Again, they've got number 25 Washington, then they have Utah visiting next week, and then they have a road trip to Oregon State to end the season, and then they have the Pac-12 championship game. Like, if their next 4 weeks are brutal. If they go 4-0, not only will they be in the playoff, they'll deserve to be in the playoff with a bullet. So we have North Carolina, Wake Forest at 7. Okay, well, I see it all. Just because I don't always go in order.
Yes,
I know what I'm doing here. Mm-hmm. I didn't skip TCU, Texas, or Kansas State, Baylor.
Not that.
What do you think I skipped?
Georgia, Mississippi State.
Oh, I've already told you what's going to happen.
Yeah, he already told. He kicked off the show.
What do you want me to tell you?
He said Mississippi State's going to happen.
I'm saving that for the post game when
if
I have
that
a
happens,
bottle of Dom Perignon at my house. And
you haven't opened that yet?
Nope. And I will. Here's my promise to you. If Mississippi State beats Georgia, it's getting opened, and I will drink it on the show Saturday night.
I would hope so.
Yeah. That's a good reason to open it.
I was so sad.
Not your anniversary?
Oh, shit, my anniversary's tomorrow night.
Wasn't that what you were saving it for?
Fuck, yeah. My anniversary's tomorrow night. Never mind. Oh, yeah.
Isn't that why you took it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's for my wife's birthday, actually, but she didn't drink it on her birthday.
Did you give it to her for her birthday?
I gave it to
And
her
then
as
she
soon as
didn't
I got
open
home.
it?
She just never opened it.
Did you
no.
say you bought it, or did you tell her where you actually
I
got it?
told her where I got it.
Oh, okay.
I took it off the private plane.
Because I couldn't. Jack,
Flying
it was,
back, and they gave Dave a bottle of Dom P for flying on plane, and I was like, Dave, can I have that? And he said, yeah.
Yeah, they had 2, and they put them on ice for us, and nobody wanted to open it. And Brandon looks over at me, and he was like, you know that if like you weren't pregnant right now, like those would be drank, but because you're not going to open it, no one else is. I was like, I'm the problem here.
Well, okay. Was that true?
Yes.
Okay, right.
So Brandon got
and
a
that
bottle.
was a truth bomb if there ever was one.
Brandon got a bottle, and Jack McCarthy took one to like some party in New York City.
Random.
So you have TCU in Texas. We've talked about UNC Wake Forest. Kansas State's at Baylor, and Baylor just continues to be interesting to me. Like they're good, but then they're not.
Yeah, it's weird.
They go in spells where they're just incredible and they're terrible. So they're Jekyll and Hyde. Florida State's at Syracuse. Florida State's number 23. This is Syracuse could finish 6-6. That's how bad they might be. And Florida State, but Florida State were to lose this game, like
they're favored by 7.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Stanford's at Utah. Cal's at Oregon State. Fuck, I didn't get to the tweet. Pull the tweet up. We got time.
Jack, what's your play of the week?
UConn plus 14
Oh,
and a
it
half.
is? Okay.
Oh, I didn't tell you my play of the week.
You said it on the show yesterday, didn't you?
I said it on that show, but I haven't said it on the show.
These
you
3
wanna give it
hammer
away?
wins.
Yeah, let me say it on this show.
All right, what is it?
My play of the week is in this college football world we have right now. We have some dead programs kind of floating to the end of this season, and 2 that look like they fit the profile will meet this weekend in Auburn, Alabama. But don't believe what you think you know about these teams. Listen, Texas A&M is dead and finished, and I'm sorry, I was the last one to give up on them. So you know when I give up on them, it's something. They have
apologize.
quarterback injuries. They're lifeless on both sides of the ball. They can't play. The fact they can't play defense is shocking to me because even with all the quarterback problems, they still have enough talent to be good defensively, but they're not. And they don't look like they want to play for Jimbo. They don't look like they want to be out there. Look on the other side. Auburn, if you watched against Mississippi State the other night,
Cadillac
Williams was running his ass all over that field, coaching them up, getting in their face. They were yelling. As soon as they scored a touchdown, they'd run and go hug him. They wanted to play for him. They figured out how Robbie Ashford works. He can just run the ball. He can't throw it. Auburn, minus 1.5 to, and I might alternate line it to just, I think they're going to handle A&M with relative ease. Auburn to hammer Texas A&M.
I'm not pushing back.
Yep.
My pick of the week is along the same lines of dead programs. It's Georgia Tech over Miami. Miami.
When did we start doing picks of the week, by the way?
I don't know.
Guess we just did it.
Well, no, because Jack has been having one like every week, and I always ask him. We've never done this.
Okay.
Have you guys figured out for the parlay? For
I don't know. We'll figure that
team
out later.
total?
All
We gotta
right.
figure that out. Yeah.
Roughnecks, here's your question. What's the most shocking upset left in this regular season? Who's going to shock the world? Let us know, and the best answers will be read on the show. Now, a little housekeeping here. Jack, can we not find another GIF? Like every time you tweet this out, you tweet.
Whoa.
I meant to throw it on the
I know you did. Every time you tweet this out, you use the same Texas A&M GIF.
I watched Brandon tweet this, and it was his most used and #1 GIF on the Twitter
You
app.
frequently use Twitter
Yeah,
GIFs.
it was
I know what
just
you're
sitting
saying.
there.
I have 2.
It's the one that's suggested.
Yeah, I have 2. That one and that one's taken over my tap dancing guy.
It was a tap dance.
I love my tap dancing guy.
I
He's
do
my
love-
favorite guy I use.
I do love the tap dancing guy.
Zeb?
No, it's
No.
just
Black and white. He did it
It's
when
just-
Charlie Chaplin.
it's an old black and
he did it
white.
with after the Alex
Isn't
Stein
Charlie?
phone
No,
call.
Charlie Chaplin.
No, it's
that's
not
a
Charlie
meme.
Chaplin.
He's a meme. A mime.
It's not a. It's like Fred. That's him. Whenever I make a point or a joke, I just like to use my tap dancing guy. Look at him. I love him. All right.
You're tap dancing on there.
I said Roughnecks. Here's your
Oh
question.
no, Charlie Chaplin was a comedian.
He was a silent movie film guy.
Yeah.
So he was a mime.
Mime, not really a mime. Mime exists today.
In principle, yes. In technicality, no.
Right.
Okay.
What's the
Anyways.
most shocking upset left in the regular season? Who's going to shock the world? Let us know. Best answers read on the show. Let's go. Casey Smith says stop. Says that every week. Cole from Tampa says maybe the dumbest thing that's ever been said on the show. Most shocking upset left would have to be Mississippi State beating Georgia this weekend. That's not the crazy part. This is the crazy part. Kentucky beating Tennessee. That would shock me. If Kentucky beat
No
Tennessee
bias.
this year, it would stun me. For you see, they've already played.
They have, yes. He, you know what I think he did there?
Yeah.
I think he was trying to like give you some credit
I
because
don't
then
think
he then goes after and says A&M upsetting LSU. I feel like he was trying to like maybe throw in another game. He just didn't realize they'd already played.
Nick Fitzgerald, who is Texas A&M's biological father, based on beating the shit out of them every time he played them. Mississippi State pulling out the miracle and upsetting Georgia this weekend. Hey.
That would be a gigantic upset.
Kelby
Yes.
W. Degenerate says Kentucky over Georgia. Georgia snuck by Mizzou and will look past Kentucky as they prepare for a rivalry game in the ACC championship.
They're not preparing for that rivalry.
Guys, listen,
game.
I think they're playing
Georgia
Georgia Tech.
Tech?
You're right. The spot for Georgia to lose, and I'm not really saying this is going to happen. The spot for Georgia to lose is absolutely this week. If it doesn't happen this week, it ain't happening in the regular season. And it probably ain't happening this week, but this is the spot.
Yeah, and that's
you
not
beat Tennessee. And then you go on the road to Starkville, which you don't go to very often. This is the spot.
Yeah, no, and that is definitely one of those like you're not just saying that because they're playing your team. You
Right.
are absolutely correct.
It's like the LSU Arkansas spot. It's very, very similar. We go to Pellerin 0. I mean, Texas is favored by 7 over TCU for some reason, so I don't know if that counts. It does not. It does not.
It would upset the apple cart.
David Michelson says Notre Dame over USC. I could see that.
I could
The
definitely see
Pac-12
that.
could stub its toe. Listen, the Pac-12 Oregon could lose to Utah. Utah could win the conference, and the Pac-12's out because of a 2-loss team winning it. USC could beat UCLA and then lose to Notre Dame and then win the conference championship. Like, they could fuck themselves. So Notre Dame over USC doesn't surprise me.
And that take is also not that crazy because Notre Dame has shown
Yeah.
life.
Allie Gleason, who we haven't heard from lately.
I know. Allie, how you doing?
Stanford is dead.
Relax. Oregon loses at Oregon State in the Civil War and ruins their chances of making it to the playoff. Do we have a new name for the Civil War, or we just?
I think they tried to change it. That is.
No, it's just not. It's not the Civil War anymore, right? They got rid of it. They just don't call it anything. I think.
They didn't come up with a new name.
I don't think so. I think
They just call it the Oregon rivalry game, kind of like the Washington football
They
team.
just call it the Oregon State game.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So it's the Washington football team.
Go
just
woke,
a
go
game.
broke.
The
All right,
rivalry was officially known as the Civil War until 2020.
that's what'll solve everything.
Yep.
All right, go down.
Oregon's an interesting place.
Let's see.
Little Tua pops Ohio State, says Rex on Sports.
C.J. Arnold says Mississippi State will beat Georgia this week. All right.
Little Tua pops.
ACC
know,
Jim,
it's funny.
ACC Jim, who is probably a Clemson fan.
No, definitely is.
I love the fact that they just got embarrassed and exposed, and he still wants to pull this shit. South Carolina will finally score their first point against Clemson this decade. They might beat you.
ACC.
They might beat them.
They might beat them.
Carolina ain't good either.
Put that on watch alert too, because that was my upset for. I think
Yeah,
it
it
was
was.
either in the ACC or the SEC when we were talking about the biggest upset of the year. And Clemson fans were all over my ass about that. Like, haha, that's not going to happen, folks. It could happen.
Keep going, Katie. Carson Brinkley says TCU gets past Texas and Baylor, but loses their final regular season game to Iowa State. That would be shocking. Jason Garsk, who is at BD7EF3E6019547B.
With a cute dog as his picture.
Okay, I was going to say over under 5, but he's got 41 followers. Kansas over Texas, because we all know the history. They lost to them once. And Maryland over Penn State. Penn State's at the point of the season where they give up and lose games they shouldn't. I think does that really happen? Delaware Keith says Maryland over Penn State. Ben said Bam OJ 6, whatever his name is. I don't care. I mean, it's got to be Georgia losing to anyone. You can't do that. You have to say who it is. Can somebody else bring one for them?
He's just saying that would be the biggest upset.
Remember early in the season when my voice would go out? My voice doesn't go out anymore.
Because Katie pampered you back to life. Say thank you.
It is weird though. I
thank
met it the other day. You've been fine.
Tyler
There's
Collins,
there's that throat coat.
Big
too.
X Cheese
Throat
won.
coat.
I find it kind of funny because this is coming from a Texas fan, but Texas A&M over LSU at the end of the year. It's just one of those games that Texas A&M won for no reason. I think he meant
Been owned,
win.
and that's not true.
It would be similar to
Oh,
LSU
wins.
winning that game last year.
Yeah.
After LSU had fired, Orgeron had nothing to play for, and they beat
Yes,
A&M.
yes.
A&M beating LSU would be very similar to that. Vil Caleb, Oregon State wins the Civil War and costs Oregon any chance of playoff glory. Colin Wilson says, with Brian Harsin finally gone, could Auburn rally more behind Caddy Williams and beat Alabama to give Alabama their first 3-loss season over a decade?
Has a team ever, hypothetically, if Alabama loses to Ole Miss or Auburn, has a team ever been field rushed on for 3 times in a season? I feel like it's impossible because if
Yeah,
you're
by
being
the
rushed
third
on
time,
3
yeah.
times, you're not good enough.
If Ole Miss wins this week, they are rushing the field.
100%,
Absolutely.
as
That's
they
a good
should.
point, Katie.
But that, I mean, that's
Yeah, who holds the
bad
record for
history.
getting the field rushed on them the most?
'Cause, like,
Two's got to be the record.
Yeah, because you can't. After you lose that many times, you're not good enough to be rushed on.
Oh, Ole Miss will definitely do it. And I don't. You know what? I wouldn't put it past Auburn, even if Alabama loses.
Well, that would be bold for Auburn to rush the field in Tuscaloosa.
Oh yeah, you're right. You know what?
It'd be,
Hey, you know what?
The
Though?
two
Have we
fans
ever seen it?
it'd be badass if they did.
It would be badass. I would love to see that. I mean, they'd get their shit kicked in real quick, but it'd be funny.
I'm sure it's happened before. Somebody's attempted it.
Definitely. But like, has there ever been a successful field rush of an opponent onto a home field?
The Party Slug something. Joe M. 1717. Notre Dame over USC. Both have the talent, except one shows up for big games and the other doesn't. I don't know how you can say USC doesn't show up for big games. They've had one this year. They lost 43-42 at Utah. Like, this is a different USC than in years past.
And Notre Dame also has lost small games, per se.
Cameron Cordy. Rutgers beats Penn State. Notre Dame beats USC. Kansas beats Kansas State. I don't think that would be an upset at all. Buddy Lamp. ISU over undefeated TCU would be a classic Iowa State move.
And TCU move.
Matt Ebert. Auburn beats Alabama, and the Bama fans go into a full meltdown.
That would
They
be,
really would.
That
Oh,
would be.
you want to talk about
They'd be legit calling for Saban to get fired, or at least the
right?
crazy
I was going
ones
to say
would.
the
Yeah.
forums that we saw
Yeah.
when they were like, "I'm speaking for all Alabama fans, fire Saban." It would be a lot of that.
Travi, the in-house Alabama guy, he's like, only thing I care about at this point is beating Auburn. Nothing else.
Was he also the guy that said this will be the greatest Alabama team
Yes.
in history?
Yeah.
You know
also
what-
said
you know
he
what?
t- he
You know,
also-
I'm gonna find it.
He also
That's all
said
right. I'm about to
they
end
had
the
a 95% chance of winning the national championship this year.
I think that's
I'm gonna quote tweet that right now.
all right.
I like Travi, but I
I'm
mean,
ready
that
to
was
get out of
crazy.
here. I'm Brandon Walker. Casey Smith. Katie Stats.
Jack,
Jack.
Noah.
95% chance.
Yeah,
Noah.
isn't that crazy?
Our
With a
assistant
healthy
producer,
Bryce, and
Clarence.
he's healthy.
Thank you, Clarence.
Who's Clarence?
I just felt if I invented a guy who's behind the camera, people might fall for it.
Oh, thank you, Clarence.
Doing a good job, buddy.
Went to boarding school with a guy named Clarence.
That guy behind
This guy's
the
a
camera.
gangster?
No, he's not a gangster like the other
His
Clarence.
real name's Clarence.
Yeah.
And Clarence lives at home with both parents. And Clarence's parents have a real nice marriage.
What?
I know. Yeah.
You got me? Okay.
I got you, bro.
At 6 Mile, whatever, zero. What's it? Sorry, we're gonna cut that.
Noah, you save the show before I go and just tell them the name of the movie.
8 Mile.
8 miles. It's 6
Oh.
miles.
God,
It's Eminem. It's
I've
B
only-
Rabbit's verse in the end, the last.
I've only
Yeah.
seen 8 Mile one time ever, which is sad. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to watch 8 Mile tonight.
I've never seen it.
This guy's a gangster.
Brittany Murphy,
His real name's
R.I.P.
Clarence.
Brittany Murphy, that shoe's cute.
Ain't no such thing as halfway crooks, Noah. You don't
Something
remember?
half past.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Relax. That's unnecessary roughness.